Maple Falls. A town that wore innocence like a mask. The kind of place where trust wasn't just expected, it was demanded. But beneath that facade lay a silence, so deep it swallowed people whole. And in 1994, it swallowed Sarah Whitmore. Sarah was a dedicated nurse at Maple Falls Community Hospital. She knew what a natural death looked like, and she knew what felt wrong. One by one, elderly patients began dying quietly. Some had heart issues or pneumonia, but Sarah noticed medication doses didn't match prescriptions, and logs had numbers suspiciously rewritten. She saw the pattern. Mr. Harold Turner, stable with a heart condition, found gone the morning after his 4 was disconnected. Mrs. Irene Foster, alert and recovering, listed as non-responsive minutes after Sarah had spoken to her. Most chillingly, a row of elderly patients, all low income, all dead within the same month. Each death was dismissed as natural. Sarah whispered her fear to a colleague. They're saving money. Fewer patients. Less care. More profit. Her colleague dismissed it, but Sarah wouldn't. She kept her own notes, patient names, dates, and discrepancies. She then filed a formal complaint. When investigators finally searched hospital records years later, her complaint was gone, erased. But a partially burned folder marked Incident Whitmore told another story. Her car, abandoned on the roadside, keys dangling in the ignition, looked like a sudden disappearance. But as the years unfolded, the story grew darker. Sarah didn't vanish into thin air. She was buried in silence. And that silence may have been manufactured by the very institutions Maple Falls trusted most. At first, people blamed love. An affair with married man Daniel Thompson. His wife Laura's bitter suspicion. Emily Carter's strained friendship. The small-town drama of jealousy. But that was the surface. Beneath it, Sarah had uncovered something far more dangerous. A secret written in files, whispered in corridors, that connected the hospital, the church, and the police in a web too powerful for one woman to expose. The truth began leaking out years later, when a rusted filing cabinet was discovered in the hospital basement. Inside, shredded memos, burned reports, and the half-destroyed Incident Whitmore folder. It confirmed she had filed a complaint, not about Daniel, but about the hospital itself and the board's alleged cover-up. She was right to be afraid. Her official complaint had been nowhere in the records. A retired nurse finally spoke decades later. Sarah told me once, if something happens to me, don't let them say it was Daniel. It won't be them. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. She remembered Sarah, pale and pacing, carrying a folder she never showed anyone. They'll use my personal light to cover what they're really doing. Don't let them. That was the last memory before Sarah Whitmore vanished. Now, the hospital board, the men in suits who smiled from church pews on Sundays, the leaders whose names were etched into brass plaques for donations that never reached people. Those names resurfaced when investigators found Sarah's voicemail tape. Her voice trembled, but her words were steady. Emily, please, if anything happens to me, don't let them twist the truth. You know who it is. Don't be afraid to speak. Then the tape cut. All that was left was the sound of the bell of St. Matthew's Church, tolling midnight. St. Matthew's was led by Pastor Graham, a man trusted as Maple Falls' moral compass, and who sat at the head of the hospital ethics board. This was the same pastor who had counseled Laura Thompson during the marriage crisis and had overseen substantial vanishing donations from the Thompson family into church-run healthcare projects that never existed. The money trail was gone, but the suspicion wasn't. Evidence of Sarah's desperation appeared in the form of a transit destination. The city where private investigator John Grayson kept his office. But there wasn't one ticket. There were two. Sarah planned to travel with someone who never came forward. Grayson's notebooks, found later, confirmed her fears. Coded cautious, but clear. People knew the affair was a smokescreen. The real danger was the pattern of deaths, the missing funds, the church's oversight, and the police cooperation. He wrote, she's standing on a landmine. The board, the church, the cops, they built a wall of silence. His last phone call was chilling. She knows too much. It's bigger than an affair. If I vanish, look at the hospital board. Look at the church. Look at the cops who keep burying my files. He was right. Soon after, Charles Grayson vanished too. The police cover up. The night Sarah disappeared, the police response should have been immediate. But the logs told another story. The 911 call reporting her abandoned car was missing from records. 2 scheduled patrol cars were marked unavailable. The officer assigned to her case was promoted shortly after, despite misconduct rumors. Detectives later confirmed the omissions were deliberate. Pages torn out, times altered. One long-retired officer finally admitted off-record, "We were told not to dig. Orders came down from above." Who, in Maple Falls, was above the police? The hospital board, the church leadership, the donors who funded them both. The missing records and promotions looked less like confusion and more like coordination, protection of something bigger than Sarah. The hospital, the church, the police. Piece by piece, the puzzle formed: suspicious deaths, an erased complaint, missing church funds, missing police records, Grayson's warnings, Sarah's voicemail. Separately, they were shadows. Together, they formed a wall of silence that stretched across Maple Falls. The silence lingers. 3 pillars of trust. 3 powerful institutions closing around one woman who refused to stay silent. Decades later, Maple Falls is left with the agonizing question: was Sarah silenced by passion or by power? Did jealousy end her life, or did institutions destroy her to keep their secrets intact? This was never just about an affair. This was about a woman who stumbled onto the truth, and a town that decided the truth was too dangerous to survive. The town pretends to have moved on, but the silence lingers, heavy, accusing. Because silence can protect the guilty, erase the innocent, and swallow the truth whole. If institutions as trusted as hospitals, churches, and police can bury one woman's truth, what else might they be burying? This case may end here, but the lesson will not. Trust carefully, question everything, and never, ever accept silence as an answer. Someone in Maple Falls knows what happened that night. Someone always knows. Join us for the next cold case, a story that will make you doubt everything you thought you believed. The silence between the stories is where the truth hides.